Clive's role, along with Paul's role in terms of the development of Nordhoff Robbins music therapy, is absolutely critical and vital and a foundational piece of the development of the profession, without question. I mean, he and Paul's work began, in 1959, 1960, about a decade after NAMT was founded. They have a chapter in the initial music and therapy text that Gaston edited. Their work was there right from the beginning. So, they represent a pioneering foundation.
Lots of people were most impressed with Paul and with the music, of course. But always I was as impressed with Clive. I thought he had a genius with children. When he told us, look, what did you just see with this client? It's like, it's more than he was their parent. It's like he saw into their soul and was so excited about their soul and their capacity. And that was just contagious, completely contagious.
His humbleness, actually, in the context of being, a pioneer who was adored and perhaps revered. He wouldn't like that word, I don't think.
His name was like the god of music therapy. I felt really comfortable to be myself with Helen. Helen really knew me, but here she had invited me with all of these luminaries and people I didn't know, and I looked around and I thought, okay, yes, I can be myself with all these people, but not with Clive Robbins. And I felt like, well, I'm just not going to do it. I'm sorry, it's going to be my secret, but I really have to impress Clive Robbins. It's what I have to do.
If you think of Clive, a big part of his personality was education. He was on a mission to teach everybody.
The conferences, when we'd meet up, we'd often end up in usually my hotel room or motel, it was hotels, just chatting away with another music therapist or two, and sure enough, Clive would leap out of the seat and he would run to his room to get his thumb drive, and he'd come back and there'd be a case presentation of work that he did with Paul Nordhoff, usually without video, just with the audio. So we'd be listening on a Macintosh computer to 17 sessions of a case. And so Clive, even, it's not that he was a workaholic, it's just that the work was always with him. No matter what he did, he had a way to bring in those who taught him, the early clients that he and Paul worked with. They were to some degree his teachers. He would bring them into the hotel room with us when we were having chats and lively discussions. So that was something that was always a surprise. And it was never like, oh, here goes Clive again.
And I think, of course he didn't say this, but I think he probably just looked at me in the eye and said, will you please be yourself? Just please. And just in a way kind of called forth in me. And I know it was work for me to do that because I was really young. And I don't think I could have done that without his help. And so I think it has to do with his total openness, total presence, and the solidity of his professional work. He carries that with him.
And Clive witnessed these kind of events happening between people and situations. He witnessed it for many, many years, many decades. And I think he had a kind of confidence that things will happen. And I think that was, also true when you saw him get up on a conference stage and kind of wait a bit, know what he was saying, but also recognize, say that word again, recognize what people needed to hear in that place and that time. And then he let himself, to a certain extent, be led by that. which isn't to say that he didn't have things that he thought, I need to say to these people. It wasn't just that he got up with a script and said, whatever you want to hear, I'm going to say this to you. There was a sense of, okay, what do we need to find in this conversation, in this teaching session, in this conference presentation? And I've seen that happen many times. And I think that's, where did he learn that from? Well, I think perhaps he learnt that from the musical example.
In this generation of music therapists who have worked with and known Clive Robbins, we understand and we're stimulated by his concepts and what he discovered specifically about creativity, self-actualization, and the emergence of the self via the music therapy relationship. When we look at Clive's work and we can put it together for the other generations, we'll have a basic foundation of the core of what takes place in all music therapy relationships.
Coming back to Clive, what he was good about was saying, don't follow the norms and the rules, follow the creative spirit inside something. Take risks, dare to do something which goes outside the box.
But there were many children, and certainly most of the ones that we heard about that became our sort of public knowledge, where they had an ambivalence about the music and about being called out into that intimacy of connection, and that Clive really enabled them to be able to connect, to calm, to relax, to focus, sometimes just to focus. And then it's like, and then there was Paul and the music for them to connect.
I think I remember him talking once about heart, having heart, and that probably gets to the matter of it. Heart as in love, but also in courage. I think he even talked about wisdom, of being able to create changes, and how he didn't seem like the kind of person who took credit for inventing this. He wasn't Thomas Alva Edison, but it was more organic. The discovery that music comes from within.
I think for me, the spirit of what he did for me is that acceptance and that willingness to be intimate in an interpersonal way, face-to-face, not only in music, but face-to-face, and to communicate that to other people. That's what our field is about.
And I'm very moved that he was such a shining soul.